Okay.
What the hell's up out there, everybody?
Oh, I'll speak for them. We've been waiting all week for you to upload another podcast. Sure. That's exactly what they're saying right now.
I'm sure.
Speaking of the podcast, our numbers are still looking for a small podcast channel from when we just started out. I like how the numbers are going up. I mean, technically, it's twice the size it is here on YouTube.
Very cool. I haven't looked at none of that.
Yeah. I just go over to Podbean, and I'm not trying to, Podbean, seriously enough. That's when I upload the podcast, it's showing the numbers are going up.
Sweet.
YouTube, it's small. 43 subscribers, I guess, but yet we've had over 200 uploads.
Oh, nice.
So, that's something to be proud of.
I've just, man, this is so much just us having fun, just being a couple guys, giving us a good escape. Just being guys, being friends down here. That's all I want out of it. So anything else is a bonus for me, man. I appreciate everybody though.
Yeah. Hey, we are enjoying ourselves, but naturally, of course, we got cameras right here.
I know, right?
I know. I've got this. Yeah. So we might as well try to say, we don't care. It's for us first, but at the same time, bitches, where are you?
Can we get some girls down here?
Hello.
I don't know if you ever noticed that, but in Batman, The Dark Knight, not Dark Knight, the third one. Damn it.
Oh, the one with
Bane.
What's his name with that damn thing?
Bane's fucking getting right up on that dude, and he's grilling him in his little office scene or something like that. Before he walks into Bane, he's walking around, he's talking to his associates or whatever, and he's like, by the way, can we get some girls down here? It's such a weird request. Go get your own girls, bro.
I got to say this. If there was actually girls in my particular part of the man cave, people are going to think, man, Scott must have won the lottery or something.
It's so weird. I love how they kept that in the movie, though. I joke around with my buddy Jameson, who you met recently, but he loved that line. He loves it so much.
Oh, makes me think of Steve Buscemi in Armageddon now. I think he was the best part of that movie with his lines that could relate to that. Yeah.
And they never want to pay taxes again.
Don't blame them there. Yeah, those damn puppet masters get enough of it as it is. I think we all can relate to that. Doesn't matter where you live in the world, because let's face it, taxes are king. Oil and taxes. Mm-hmm. But enough of that bullshit. How's your week been going so far?
Man, it's been pretty good. Can't hate on none of it. Got a bunch of good news going. We're still moving forward with the house. A couple issues we might, impose upon the contractual agreement with, but still moving forward. It's still exciting. It's going to be great. I'm staying optimistic.
Yeah, from what we were discussing about that not too long ago, it's oh man. For any of you listeners out there that's going through what Chris is going through right now, I'm sure you can relate quite a bit. I myself have just been through the buying the house process, but what Chris is and his family's dealing with, he's buying and selling. So wow, that's got to be something else.
Well, I'll add to that. 2 houses at the same time. We're kind of merging houses, so it's like, wow. And we're slowly realizing that we have a lot of shit, and as big as the other house is going to be, and as much land as we're moving into, we're slowly realizing, we're going to have to downsize some stuff because we have a lot of shit.
Speaking of which, Chris, I'll start it, and you will definitely finish it. If there are any of our loyal listeners out there that live nearby, in Montgomery County, if you're looking for a rooster,
Fuck. That guy. I don't know about that guy, man. I don't know how long he's going to make it. We have chickens and roosters on property, and it's like, I know to some of our listeners that may sound weird, but to some of them they'll be like, "Oh, that makes sense. You'll get eggs, but that fucking rooster, boy, if he gets out of line, it might be like in Avengers Endgame when Rhodey says he's going to go back in time and." It might be that. He might kill. You remember when he said he's going to kill Hitler?
Yeah.
I might wring that little fucker's neck.
Tony Stark, if you're listening,
I mean,
he figured out how to time travel.
If he wakes me up at 6 a.m, I'm going to be pissed.
From what I understand, last week my son's soccer season started, and I heard a little bit of news. Zach's grandmother apparently had a rooster, and she kind of heard a little bit of what we were talking about, and she just started shaking her head because she remembers those 3:00 morning wake up calls and stuff.
Oh my God.
And it's just, I guess she had flashbacks or something, because I've never seen her react like, no, don't. It's almost like don't say the word rooster around her.
I support her 100%. Like that is not. I'm
so
not.
There
about
you
that
go.
life.
Facebook Market, does that still exist? Because I'm sure people sell roosters on there, so I'm just things popping.
Maybe in Ohio.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah, you might see a listing for that little fucker real fast.
People are gonna, contact you. What's his name? Rooster. No, call him. I hate to say this. This is not really his name is Danny.
So the previous owners have named all these chickens and the rooster. I forget the rooster's name right now, but supposedly he's a little bastard.
Call him Danny Masterson for the rooster's name from the ranch.
He's a little bastard from what I hear. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be great.
And that being said, I even though I haven't this, I'm actually saying this to Chris for the first time. In the beginning, when we first started this, we mentioned how we were trying to upload episodes every Thursday, and I'm kind of testing the water to try to get a couple videos out, or videos and podcasts out during the week, which Chris is pretty much aware of that. But with you moving, it could be very hectic here in the next month. There's a possibility, I'm just saying this out loud, Chris may already, we might miss a couple episodes because of his move. And I'm just thinking ahead that way.
Until we sell this house, though, I mean, everything's going to be operating as normal. Which, unfortunately, I'm anticipating there being an issue with possibly having 2 mortgages, and then it's going to be really rough. But if I'm still living here, fuck it. Everything's set up right here. I can record here. So
yeah, or you can do it through your phone. That'll be interesting.
We'll make it work. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking ahead, just in case. That way, if we have individuals that have enjoyed this every week, I just want at least to say, I'm just thinking about that as you're talking about what you're going through.
See, Scott evens me out. So I'm just an impulse fucker. I just do things, and then he's more, taking a cautious approach to it. And I'm like, come on, come to the dark side, bro.
I wish I could right now, but unfortunately, as I discussed with you personally, right now I'm in 3 chess mode right now, thinking ahead, like, oh shit, what am I going to do? But enough about that, because I don't really want to get into it. We're here to have a good time in the podcast. Damn it, that's why I brought my Heineken buddy along, and I think we'll get into that here in a little bit. I do want to ask you though, before we do get into our main subject, have you seen any decent movies this week? Or 'cause I know there's one I'd like to share.
Motherfucker. I bought it. I actually pre-ordered it, and I've been talking about it so much. Is The Passenger?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Son of a bitch! I've still not been able to watch it.
You've been busy. You've been really busy.
And I hate that. And I feel like, here's the thing: I share HBO Max with my mom right now. So obvious, or not HBO Max, Apple TV. But I share that with her.
Yeah.
So she's already watched it because I was like, "Watch this," I didn't even watch it myself. That's how stupid I am. But she has wanted to talk about it for the last fucking week straight, and I can't talk to her about it, and she's going nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've all been there.
But
it's fun.
The Passenger.
It is fun.
I have high hopes. I'm going to watch that as soon as I can.
It might be one of those sleepers, one that's not discussed a lot or not a lot of people know, but when you do, it's one of those great movies.
I have high hopes.
Speaking of the opposite of great movies, at least Russell Crowe. He had some great movies in the past, but last night I said something to you about Netflix, I guess, is trying to introduce some of the movies again. Anyway, enough about that. I noticed that what is it called? The Pope's Exorcist. Yes. Okay, what the hell? I just went ahead and hit click play. And I got about maybe 30 minutes into it. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm bored. I'm done.
Shit. Okay. I sent that.
The only reason
that's my mom too. I had high hopes for that one, and I haven't watched it yet either.
No, you guys may enjoy it. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. You were saying?
Oh no, I had sent that one to her as well. I had high hopes for it. So, damn.
You and your mom may like it. Everybody has their own taste in things. I just personally, and this is the reason why. Oh, let me paint a picture here, and I won't make it a big picture. I'm very picky about movies. Food, obviously not. But movies, I am. If you start showing me, in other words, if there's any laziness involved into it, or if I sense there's laziness involved into it, then I'm frustrated with it. Now, if let's say it's a movie that's not that good, but it has its own original concept, that I'm going to give it a chance while I'm watching it. But in this Pope's Exorcist, I'm sorry, I seen way too many things that reminded me of the original Exorcist. Now, granted, yes, I'm going to tell you now, spoiler alert, instead of a little girl, it's a little boy that's possessed. But there's certain things about it that reminded me of like, wait a minute, didn't they do this in The Exorcist? Lines, certain emphasis about it, the way the character was. And something else, and then I'll shut up about the movie. The little boy that's possessed, he annoyed the shit out of me in this movie. He's playing Satan, and I was annoyed by Satan in this movie. I'm like, oh, come on. I'm not intimidated by it. Was like they were having a pissing match at one point. I'm like,
wait, huh? He's playing Satan?
Yep. The Satan he's possessed, in other words, I'm just assuming, the character that he's playing is Satan. In other words, even though the Cressel Row refers to him as Satan and the demon. I'm bored by the pissing match that they were having. And the way he was acting, he's a little kid, but Leonardo DiCaprio, he was little when he was playing some of the roles that impressed the hell out of me. Like whatever happened to Gilbert Grape, I really thought Leonardo DiCaprio, that's the first time I've ever seen him in a film. I really thought Leonardo had some handicaps because that's how amazing he was in that film. But this little kid was much younger, of course, than Leonardo, but I was just annoyed. In other words, these are just my feelings on this film. It's a decent production, obviously. There's some great scenery, but I'm like 30 minutes into this. But and to give it some defense, I'm personally going through some bullshit right now, so I'm probably aggravated about everything. So I want to at least play devil's advocate on myself on this part. It might be much better than what credit I'm giving to, and I'm just maybe I'm on my period this time of the month. And I just wasn't enjoying it as much. I was getting aggravated. I'm like, fuck this. I started watching something else.
Okay.
So I'm just being honest and fair about it. Because there might be others like, yeah, I liked it, Scott. What the fuck's wrong with you? I'm on my period this time of the month. That's probably why.
Oh, the hell with that. That's
your
have
opinion.
It too. And this is our channel. You're going to do whatever you want. Hell with that.
Yeah.
So.
But I thought I'd share it at least.
Bringing up what you thought. What you thought of Leonardo DiCaprio, and I want to shed some light on This Boy's Life. You ever watch that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio, I think, is one of the best actors we have in modern time. There's no doubt about it.
In This Boy's Life was like some of his, and Basketball Diaries, of course. But man, he was
great. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know that meme?
Or just the what really got me into that with him. Oh God, Django. Oh God, what is this? Is this going to be about Leonardo DiCaprio? Probably.
Off on tangents.
You know what?
This is what we do.
I could, yeah. Well, these, okay.
Let's recap. Music. Got anything?
You first, since you mentioned it privately.
What, buddy? I've had it pre-ordered, but I'm a big. See, his last name messes me up, but Gregory Alan Isayakov, I think is his name. But he just released his newest, which is called Appaloosa Bones.
Yeah, that sounds like something you'd hear from the 80s.
Man,
the title.
Great, man. Maybe something you'd hear from the 80s.
It does. I don't know. I don't know why. I guess I'm thinking of an artist. That's just something so original. I mean, who comes up with that?
It's great, man. I've been enjoying it. I've been listening to it. Anybody it's kind of the more indie, like folk rock genre there. But if you're into, say, like John Michael III, I think his name is. It's more along those lines. John Vincent.
That's a tough one to have.
My bad.
You think of John Michael III? There's probably a lot of John Michaels.
John Vincent.
I'm not trying to sound like a smart ass.
I went in the wrong realm there, but John Vincent III. It's more soft. It's more lyric driven. It's definitely, the instruments are more acoustic sounding. But it's good album, man.
Is it any like? I'm gonna go with storytelling. For an example. Don Henley, I'm going to just use, because I can go on with different names. Don Henley was always great at storytelling. Johnny Cash, of course, as well, as a storytelling writer. Because I started thinking John Henley's softer acoustic stuff. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. Jackson Browne's a good storyteller writer too.
And
you don't get that as much this day and age, at least as far as I know.
No. But that's what I thrive on.
There you go, folks. If you enjoy that,
if anybody out there loves like James Taylor, it's kind of like the original JT, like not Justin Timberlake, but James Taylor. If anybody likes that type, it would match that as well.
So for anyone out there that's closer to my age, you guys are getting it right off the bat. So if you want to catch something new, because that's something I think a lot of music lovers from my age and I could be wrong about this. They want to find something new. And there you go. I think Chris really gave you a good example of someone who's not necessarily new, but he's not very known for an artist in the 70s. Would that make sense? Yeah,
because for me, like, I identify more with the older ways of music than the newer ways, of course. And it's like, what is out there that would still meet my criteria, my what would check off my list? Like, there's not many artists out there, unfortunately, that are still meeting those needs. Unfortunately,
you're saying that it makes me think of I'm really looking, unless it's out and I missed it. I was for the 90s or no, early 2000s, could have been late 90s. Matchbox 20. I really liked them.
Rob Thomas.
Their first album. Yeah, Rob Thomas. Buddy. Hell, this solo stuff alone is great. I have it somewhere around here, a DVD concert. It's fantastic. I would love to. A while ago, I heard that the Matchbox 20 was going to do it. Now I'm like, great, fantastic. I would love, in all honesty, I don't want you guys to do your first album again.
Right.
But could you possibly find some of that magic that you got from your first album? I mean, that's a lot to ask, but I guess it's want to go back.
Could you make the same music you did before you met Santana? Is that possible?
Oh, God. I know that was a huge hit, and honestly, I could see myself. Okay, if that song popped up on the radio, or if I'm at a restaurant, I'd be like, I can tolerate it.
Sure.
I guess. But there's one thing we did skip though.
Okay.
Duh. Cars.
Cars, baby.
On random shit, of course. Oh, I didn't even talk about my music thing. I said Rob Thomas. Could that be good enough? I don't know. But no, I really want to add up for, I'll say it real quick. You probably have already heard if you're a Van Halen fan, and if you're a fan of the Sammy Hagar era, I'm excited that they're going to be digitally remastered. Masted? Yeah, it's going to be digitally masted.
Digital
remastered. Yeah, it's going to be masted in a platform that's congested in a sounded tube. Yeah, that made sense. No, I love the fact that it is going to be digitally remastered for all their 4 albums that they did. I want to say 4 recorded studio albums. Yeah, 51, 50, 12, For Your Love, Carnal Knowledge, and Balance. And there's going to be some other songs that didn't make it on those LPs that'll be added into this. So it's like extra Van Halen stuff. And it will be available on vinyl and CD. I'm excited about that because it's nice to know here it is 2023 where I could buy another Van Halen album physically again. And for a lot of Van Halen fans, I think you know what I'm getting at. Didn't think that was going to happen. But the one thing I don't like about this whole thing, it's release date.
What is it? I didn't even check. That was a long sigh.
October 6th. And I don't like that date at all anymore. I just don't. Ironically, it's 2 days after my son's birthday, but it's a date that I just don't like that date, from especially October 6th, 2020. For any of you Eddie Van Halen fans out there, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I just don't think that should be the...
So
now, some of you may say, well, wasn't that a great way to... Yeah. Isn't that a great way to celebrate it? Fuck no. You release it on January 26th. There you go. I'll wait a few more months. Exactly. Okay. So... See, I am all pros and cons about every fucking thing.
Didn't click for me initially. and I'm the guy that's... if I could speak to everybody out there, like, this is like legendary music. This is music from the past. I mean, if they're remastering it, I'm kind of excited about it. And I'm not a diehard fan like you are. So being your friend has introduced me to a new world of music. I'm trying to.
I really wish.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up.
If there's anything that if we got loyal viewers or listeners that are like the same thing, maybe I got upset for all the right reasons. After his passing, I started seeing on YouTube people being more interested in Eddie Van Halen, which I knew it was going to happen. It happens with all legends. Yeah. But here's my advice to anyone out there. If you really want to, check out his live performances, especially in the earlier years. If you really want to see some mastering of a guy who invented, I don't want to say invented, well, he did the D-tune and all that, but an innovator. He's a guy from all the rock bands in the 80s. And I'm not just saying this, it's a fact. All the legendary rock bands from the 80s, all the guys that were the big hair bands from Guns N' Roses to Motley Crue, all those guys, and the list goes on and on. They'll tell you right now, their biggest influencer was Eddie Van Halen. That's a damn fact. They looked up to him big time.
Totally understand that. Absolutely.
And
this is coming from a kid that was kind of, I call myself a kid, but I'm a 4-year-old man. But this is coming from a kid who was, he came from, his sisters were so into the hair bands. So obviously I was familiar with so many of the hair bands, and we call them hair bands, but Motley Crue, and the Journey, and the Slayer, and the White Snake, and all them, Bon Jovi. But I can totally, now reflecting on that as a 40-year-old, I can totally see them being their inspiration, Van Halen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's so funny. I've had people that are even asking questions like, when they about guitars. Well, why didn't Eddie ever have a Les Paul? He did. He had Les Pauls back in the beginning. Because you see so many legendary guitarists to this very day have a Les Paul guitar. Yeah. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from a Les Paul. That Les Paul is, as so many professional musicians, that's on their bucket list is to have a Les Paul, especially made from back in the 50s or the 60s. But Eddie, ironically, was a very close to Les Paul. That was one of his mentors. And those two would constantly communicate through things all the time. And I mean, I could go on and on and on about that, but yeah, there's even people that have been a fan of Van Halen already know this. But yeah, Edward acted like a little kid anytime you'd see those two together. He just admired the hell out of Les Paul. But ironically, Edward is not very much known for playing a Les Paul because it's the Frankenstein. And then, of course, later on, his own guitar line, the EVH, the Wolfgangs, which, of course, his son has carried on that tradition. They're starting other brands, other EVH guitars that are more custom to Wolfgang style. Yeah. So, but that's, I guess, my touch on music this week. It's got, I guess, all in all, it's really related to the present that relates to the past.
If I could say one thing, that as you're talking about guitars right there, you could give a $5,000 guitar to someone who doesn't play guitar. It's not going to mean shit. You give a $50 guitar to an Edward Van Halen, and he's going to make that thing sound like a fucking symphony. It don't matter.
That's why
it don't matter what he played. He was the instrument. That's how I feel about. I know I've mentioned in the past, but Dallas Green.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about him. It don't matter what you give him. It's going to fucking sound like it's going to sound like anything, unlike anything you've ever heard.
And let me guess, when he played that instrument, it sounded like him. It didn't sound like somebody else.
His strum patterns, as well as the way he hits the chords some of his finger spread and all the things he's doing on that. No. Just never going to be replicated.
Yeah, there's no.
It don't matter if you gave me a fucking $5,000 guitar. There ain't no way I could replicate that. It's not possible.
You're right about that. It's like some of the things that I've thought about in the past from the other YouTube channel. I try to tell others, if you're starting a YouTube channel, and in this case, a podcast, if you don't have a story, if you don't have a niche, then what's the point of buying all that equipment?
Right.
There is no sense of spending a lot of money on shit if you don't have something to really create it, like a musician that's very talented. I mean, it's so funny you mentioned, I think back to where I have witnessed an individual who was a very talented musician and picked up this piece of shit thing that you would, I'd say, oh, it's just broken. That person starts playing, I'm like, made me look like a fool.
Right. Right. I'm one of those guys. I thought I had to have a Martin. I thought I had to have a Taylor. Like, I thought I had to have an Alvarez. I bought all those guitars. Unless you have the drive and the skill, you're never going to be those levels that those guitars deserve, unless you put yourself into it.
I mean, mine's a $120 Gibson that's sitting out the living room that collects dust most of the time because I only know how to play 4 chords, and I can't even play them well. I'm a lefty playing a right-handed guitar, and I'm like, man, my brain's fucking. But that's the world I live in, folks.
Not to be a downer, but that's just paying respect to these legends.
Yeah, I think it's always something that's, no matter what, living or past, it's true. Facts are facts. But now that we've talked about movies, horror related, of course, and not necessarily horror movies that we're anticipating to see, right, Chris? Of course, your mom can't wait.
Yeah.
Random shit. Of course, I don't want to. Buying a house, dealing with 2 mortgages, that's not random shit. That's life.
Life shit. We need to add a subcategory.
Chris and I are always enjoying adult beverages, but what do you do in the man cave other than shooting the shit, especially random shit? Chris, you and I are definitely going to have a topic one day about beverages and what tastes good and what, like a taste testing podcast, which I think a lot of individuals out there would enjoy. But before we started recording, and I'm going to grab another beer, talk about something that you mentioned, if they could just make this all the time.
Oh, buddy, you go ahead. anybody who pays attention to, half my attire or what I'm drinking, I swear to God, there's this beer that comes around only every once in a while, once a year. Obviously this time is since it's annually, but it's an Imperial IPA. I know everybody feels a certain sort of way about IPAs, but I tend to enjoy them a lot. But if anybody is in the Ohio region or near there, even like Kentucky or hell, West Virginia, several areas will carry Rheingeist. But I swear to God, this one, it goes by the name of Sabertooth Tiger. And they only release it every once a year. But man, when it comes out, I mean, I'm like the epitome of rejoice. I'm just a happy motherfucker. Because it's probably in my top 5 of beers. So I go crazy when that comes out. I try to buy as many 6-packs as I can to get me through up into winter, because it's usually right before fall. And, that's when I'm a happy boy is fall, obviously. Because we're getting into October, we're getting into, colder weather. It's my favorite time of year.
The Oktoberfest beers.
Buddy. I love Oktoberfest too. That's Sam Adams.
Oh, that's something I probably should ask you. I should have asked you before, but you might be busy.
What's that?
I got to take a look at the schedule too. Heading up to Minster, it's usually the first weekend of October for their Oktoberfest. That little town knows how to have an Oktoberfest, and I've had some great times up there.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, I highly there you go. We're on beer. Chris is talking about a beer that, I got a little bit of it before he started because I went to go refresh. Yes, Minster, Ohio. If you live around here, Montgomery, of course, even, I don't care. You could live down in Cincinnati is known for their Oktoberfest. Dayton, but Minster, Ohio, that little town, it's about 45 minutes, I want to say, on average north from where we live. And we'll say north of 70.
I've only passed through that, buddy.
Oh, love that little place. I actually used to, I'm not going to go there work-wise. Typically the first weekend of October for 3 days, that little town shuts down and they have an Oktoberfest. They do anything from, of course they serve beer. They actually are getting into more lines of beer because typically Budweiser's up there with their big trucks and they'll serve Budweiser, Bud Light, and then the Oktoberfest beers, which, like Amber Bock or something like that is, I know that's not a traditional, but they're getting to certain ones. Or I'm thinking of a Yingling, they could have added more to this list because it's been a while since I've gone up there. And they have food, tents and all that. They even have, which I enjoy as well, crafts. They have tents where they have a lot of people where they make a lot of stuff like marketing up there. In fact, you guys aren't seeing it in this channel, or you're not seeing it here in this particular part of the man cave, but my other section of the man cave where the bar's at, I've had a sign for so many years. It's a bar's open sign, a neon sign. And that little sign kind of has its own little story on its own, but I won't get into it. But that sign is actually from a guy who has a booth up there, and I'm sure he's still there. And my parents bought that for me as a gift, and it was the perfect timing because when I moved into my old man cave, it was a Christmas present that I opened, and they had no idea I was moving into this particular place. So it was like the perfect place to put my original man cave. Well, very technically. Cool. But yes, I highly recommend anybody who lives around here that's never heard of it. Hell, it's the website. They even have a website. It's I can't remember. I think it's Minster's Oktoberfest. I've always called it Minsterfest, but that's not what it's traditionally called. But it's a blast. I used to go up there every Saturday night, even though it starts on a Friday. And I'd go up there with friends or hell, even family. Hell, Zach's been up there probably half a dozen times. They're also known for their chicken hats too. If you,
I'm ready to go.
Now, if you and Natalie can get a babysitter that night, because granted, kids could go up there, but I think this is a great date night, if you know what I mean. And I don't recommend, I just, even though we've had Zach up there, because technically my parents would go up there for a little bit, like if they're tired, they're going to go home. They take Zach with them. Meanwhile, me and my buddy's like, woohoo! She buy like quarter pints of beer.
Say, what if we could turn this into like a? Do they allow cameras on?
Well, it's a big public thing, so people. But this day and age, people are so used to having cameras and stuff, and not like that.
What if we turn this into a podcast? That'd be fun.
I've seen people. The last time I was there was somebody that had a gear similar to what I have had at 2 car shows so far. Folks, if you know what I mean.
I have held that, and I mean, I carry a lot of shit, but holding that in one position is fucking rough.
The gimbal.
Man. It's like being here, and it's like. You know when they have the water bucket challenge where you hold the water buckets, it's like fucking hell. This is after so long, the lactic acid in your muscles starts to build up. It's like that, and you're trying to keep still. You're trying to keep safe. You're trying to keep everybody in frame. But dude, I definitely noticed. I started dipping down. You're gonna see in later episodes, but. I was trying to record my good friend, honestly, I call him brother. He's my fucking right hand man, but Jameson and Scott were having a car conversation, and man, my hands started dipping, and I was like, holy shit, this is rough.
The funny thing of it is, I'm thinking about as I'm holding this right now. You're describing it, and as thinking in edit post, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna wait till he's done talking. I'm like, why am I doing this right now? It doesn't need to be. But this is what he's referring to. Now imagine this with the camera. Imagine this with the camera on.
And that's a solid rig, folks. That's a all metal. I mean, is it aluminum? Got to be aluminum, right?
Yes. This right here, the grip. I'm hoping I know it will. This is the battery itself. I bought these separately. It's actually it's a DJI. If you guys are familiar with DJI drones, well, they're notorious for their gimbals. Well, and from their drones and But it has 3 motors in it. Technically 5, but it's more known for 3.
I swear to God, if you didn't have those handlebars on it, I'd have fucking dipped way worse.
These come separate. Sorry, I'm away from the microphone, but these come separate. But it's funny, on the opposite side here, it actually has a joystick it's a nice feature, but there's all kinds of adapters that you can add to it. Certain companies, like Chris's camera, for an example, his Sony, it has more accessories that you can use with this ordeal. But the funny thing of it is, this day and age with people's phones, it doesn't matter if it's an Android or an iPhone, but them being so balanced this day and age, practically having a floating lens, you practically don't need these damn things.
But that's cool as hell, man. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed when you were just setting that bitch up, and I was like, holy shit, this is for real right now.
Oh yeah, you have to calibrate it and everything too.
Oh yeah,
so.
It's fucking cool. It's just heavy, bro.
Yeah, it is. It's your forearms get sore after a while, that's for sure. They suck at a wedding, but you also love having these at a wedding. But yeah, Minster, I'll put the link in the description box if you guys are around here like, oh, wait a minute, I've heard about that, or I am curious. So there you go.
My daughters being the age that they are, do you think that would be an okay event?
Oh, yeah.
Or should we talk to Grandma, my mom?
The funny thing of it is, after meeting your mom a couple times, I could see your mom enjoying herself up there.
I'd love to take her too.
Yes, like I said, I've brought Zach, and he's been going on. Yeah, it's a family. In other words, just okay. I'll describe it to you even more, or we could wait till after we're done here. Okay. No, I'll go ahead, because if there are people listening and they're curious themselves, it's a family event in Minster. And this is going to sound kind of, take it as it is. Minster is a small little town north of where we live. And traditionally, where we're at, the further north you get, the more it's your typical old town where nothing's changed as much up there. In fact, in Minster, Ohio, you have actually children of the same age of your daughters where they'll actually say, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. If you open the door for them, they actually say thank you, or vice versa.
Maybe someday we'll have the girls on, but I'm fully behind that.
Yeah.
That is how I want my girls raised.
Yeah. I hear I cut loose. I try to get a little bit more ridiculous with my words because I know it's intended for adults. But yes, I would not want to. Even when I'm around Chris's, girls, there's a time and place where you have to act a certain thing. And being a father myself, you just got to have that filter turn on at times.
And that is not anybody who's watching. That is not a female thing. That is not a father of daughters things. That's a father. Period. I don't care if I had boys. I don't care if I have girls. Whatever. You respect your elders. That's me. That's just me.
On the fair side, you're going to have a lot of, let's say, 25-year-olds. I'll use that number because I know what it was like for me at 25. I was going up there hanging out with my friends, having a good time. But I was always respectful for others. And the good news of it is all the years that I've gone up there, I've never seen fights break out. I've just seen people up there having a good time. So if you're okay with your teenage daughters being around a bunch of adults that are very respectful around kids, but at the same time, they're having beer, they're drinking, they're listening to a lot of your traditional, German, festival music because they have these bands that are performing. And that's the good thing about it. If you do have kids, you're going to have music performed up there where you don't have to worry about, oh God, the music is family oriented.
You know what? If I could delve into that, I'm part German as well. Scottish, Irish, German, Cherokee, like Native American, like the whole thing. Like I don't feel like alcohol plays a role into it. I feel like today's world does. So for me, you saying like if you're okay with having your children up there is like, man, if I'm around people that are like-minded as well as me, there's never been a case in history where I felt bad about that, It's only recently that I feel like I have to be protective. So, and I would be totally open to that.
Sorry, Chris.
I would be totally open to that. I feel like they'd have a great time. I'd love that.
I'm thinking of my experiences, and I would say, oh, hell yeah, bring them along. And you know what?
Natalie doesn't drink, so if anybody out there is really paying attention to what we're doing, Natalie would obviously drive home.
Yeah, because in all honesty, that's something I would like. Oktoberfest. If I learn how to spell. In all honesty, that's something. Minster is kind of in the middle of nowhere, so you really have to be careful. Have a designated driver, definitely, because it is. Because there are police up there. They're waiting for you. There are police around, so that's a good thing.
I can see that.
Minster, Ohio, September 29th, 30th, and the 1st.
The last one I went to was in Columbus, right outside of Columbus in Dublin. But that was the last Oktoberfest.
Okay. Oh, there you go. And now it's an Irish town. Well, Dublin, gee, that was easy to say. Yeah, that's where I get to bring out the German in me because that's how I do it. I do it twice a year. October, because, my grandfather's from Germany. Well, his family, and my grandmother's from Ireland.
Folks,
so I could split it in half.
I'm gonna drag Scott out there.
Oh, man, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to jinx it because I love it when it's cool at Minster it's just perfect because it's the fall. You want it to be cool. You want to be out there having a sweatshirt or a hoodie or a jacket, and you want to feel crisp.
That's my favorite.
That's how I am. But when it's fucking hot and you're out there drinking a beer, when you're like me, like, God damn it, I'm sweating my beer away.
You know what? As long as I'm drinking a beer, I'm happy.
You'll see. I'll let you know right now. They serve it. You can get them, and you'll buy raffle tickets is what you're doing. And there's a good chance with inflation, the prices have gone up. But for so many years, you'd buy like, I don't know. It was usually like I forget what the price was, but it stayed the same. And they serve it in quarters, like a half a gallon.
Oh shit! Okay.
So you could buy it in cups. Depends on your route. You know how those raffles work because they ID first, and then you go buy your raffle tickets, and then of course,
the same way.
I'm trying to think. Am I going to share this to the world? because now I've really realized that the way this is going on so far, there's so many personal stuff being added. But when I was younger, what I used to do, I'd buy myself one. And then as it got closer to later in the night, because they'll close kind of like a bar hours. When it gets around 1 o'clock in the morning, that's when they start shutting stuff down. Then that's when I would tell you, even with Natalie driving, wait until a lot of people go. Because they'll start pulling over those dumbasses first.
Oh, sure.
And so as it calms down, the cops are kind of gone. So what I used to do, even though that's just advice I give to everyone, but when I was younger, I'd watch people set their beer down, and I'd just walk by and grab it.
See ya.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck it. It's going to waste anyways. Fuck it.
So yeah, Chris, I did have some other things, but we're going on close to longer than expected. I think this is a good random shit episode. October, beer. Yeah, you name it. And all the other stuff that we've talked about too. Wow. We didn't talk about cars, but I think that's what we should bring up next week. Because I've got an idea I want to share with you, Chris.
I'm into it. I'm there. What do you got me?
So folks, if you're into cars, next episode, I got this idea. It came across to me. Yeah, is there ever a car that you see either on a television show or series or a movie, and you see that car and you're like, I got to have that car.
Oh,
or you just like that car. It's that car. It's not the one that you see in public, but it was that car just, it shined in that movie or TV series.
You better believe it.
So it's going to be, I love top fives. I think they're fun. Your top 5 cars, or, let's say a motorcycle. I should be fair to that. I don't have it on my list because I already wrote it down.
I love motorcycles, but God bless. They're so fast and they have such a potential to get hurt that Natalie's pretty much sworn me off from. So I'm kind of, it's going to be a total car list for me.
Yeah, and if it was motorcycles that it's not even on a show or a movie, I'd have to say Evel Knievel's motorcycles for me, because I grew up as a little kid that loved the Evel Knievel stuff.
I'm a big Harley fan and a big Indian fan.
Terminator 2, Arnold on that fat boy.
That 1887 fucking revolver shot. Not revolving, but...
that scene right there?
Oh, man, that 1887 was fucking phenomenal. I used to love that.
So there you go. Next episode, our top 5 cars from a movie or television series. You get the idea. That you just have to have. I think that's going to do it for us. This is pretty basics, but it's fun. I like the basic videos.
Yeah, they're easy. Fun.
Yeah.
You got to stick to a routine or nothing.
That being said, I'm going to go outside and save the world. And click. You didn't say it.
I didn't.
I said click. I ruined
that
it.
Fucking button, please.
Chris and I want to thank you for listening or watching Meet Us in the Man Cave. Since you enjoyed watching us, make sure you want to tell all your friends about us, subscribe today, and click on that notification bell. It's going to be helping you being reminded when our next episode is uploaded, or even possibly a live stream video. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, YouTube. You can listen or download to Meet Us in the Man Cave on your favorite podcasting app, available to stream or download so you can listen to us all you want, whenever you want. For more information, go to meetusinthemancave.podbean.com.